Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another part of our character creation videos. In the last video we added an AnimSet for our pistol so we can have different animations for when we wield different weapons now. We also already added some stuff for an unarmed animation set, and today we are going to finish those. After that we are going to add some turn in place animations. This won't be the most advanced or dynamic stuff, but it works and it looks a little bit better than just having your character float around like this, in my opinion. For the unarmed animation set, I'm going to use a one-dimensional blend space this time, and all of this kind of depends on the animations you have available for your character. So if you have an unarmed walk, run and sprint animation, all of which have forward, backward, left and right variations, then you could go for a two-dimensional blend space like we did in one of the first videos with the rifle poses. I don't have all these animations for these characters, and I'm just going to use a one-dimensional blend space just so you can show how to set this up. All of this stuff kind of depends on the animations you have for the character and what you're able to do with them, so it's not like there's a perfect setup for all of this. It's just what you have and what you have to work with. Now, because we are going to start using some animations that are not actually for this character, the unarmed AnimSet won't look perfect. Some stuff will look a bit weird, blending and things like that. But if you use the proper animations for your character, it should look fine. So this is just to show you how to create everything. So the first thing we're going to do is retarget some animations. So I'm going to use one from the mannequin from UE4. Go to the mannequin folder, the animations, and I'm going to select the idle, the run and the walk animation. Right click these and select retarget AnimAssets, duplicate AnimAssets and retarget. Now disable this flag, only show compatible skeletons, and you should be able to select your skeleton over here, the Murdoch skeleton, and then click the retarget button over here. Usually it drops them in the main folder, so go back to your content folder and here you have the new animations. We are going to set up our blend space right now, so go to your blend spaces and create a new blend space, right click, animation, and I'm going to use the one-dimensional blend space in this case. Select the Murdoch skeleton and I'm going to call this Murdoch unarmed blend space and open this up on the correct monitor, thank you. For the axis settings, the horizontal axis, we're going to use the speed, and it's going from 0 to 900. Interpolation time set is to 0.2, and we're going to drag in the right animation, so the third person idle goes to the speed 0, third person run goes to speed 675, third person walk, let's put it at 225, and for the sprint animation I'm going to look for the Murdoch sprint and I'm placing it at the 900 spot over here, and we should have our blend space working, so let's check it out. That looks to be fine. So as you can see, his gun is moving inside his leg and things like that. His left hand looks a bit weird. So all of this is because these animations are not for this character and they are retargeted. But we are going to have to do with this, so deal with it. Let's save and close this down. And we are going to add a new weapon in our info table. So let's open our weapon info table, and we are going to create our unarmed weapon. So click the little plus sign over here. Now technically this is not a weapon, but we are going to define it as a weapon, so call this unarmed. I'm going to put it all the way at the top of the list. I'm going to give the display name unarmed again. Weapon type, we used to have a normal, a shotgun, or a special weapon. We are going to add a melee weapon to this, so let's just fill in melee over here. And we don't need, but I'm going to set the ammo to 0 and 0. We can leave the rest, that's fine. We are not using most of this stuff. Only change the weapon AnimSet all the way at the bottom. Set it to the unarmed animation set. And this should be good to go. So let's save and close this down. Now if I open my weapon info struct real quickly, for the weapon type we added a little tooltip, either normal, shotgun or special, and I'm going to add the melee in here as well. Now this doesn't really do anything except keep things nice and organized, so I know what I can enter and everything still matches up, so just for organization's sake. Okay, next thing we are going to do, go to the animation blueprint, and we are going to go to the animation graph. So go to the anim graph over here, and we are going to add the new poses. So let's go to the base locomotion first, open the state machine and open your idle pose or state, idle state. Now we added this blend poses node, and if we right click this we can add the unarmed pin as well for the enumeration. So click the unarmed to add the pin, and we are simply going to drag in our third person idle animation and drop it right on top of here. Let's go back and go to our walk run sprint state, and we're going to do the same thing. So right click on the node and add the unarmed pin, and this time we're going to use the blend space we created, so the Murdoch unarmed blend space. Let's drag this in, plug it into the unarmed pose, and make sure you plug in the speed as well. So that should work. And now we go back to the animation graph all the way back, and we have another blend by weapon enums node over here. So we're going to add the pin again, unarmed. And for this one we are going to copy most of the pistol stuff. So let's copy all of these nodes. Just copy one of the state machines because we need to change some stuff in here. So copy and paste it. Connect this one to the unarmed pose and open up the state machine over here. Go to the jumps, jumping, and the jump start, and we're going to replace the shotgun loop with the third person idle loop. For running, maybe it looks a little bit better if we use the run animation. Let's try it. So let's plug in our third person run over here. Go back to the jump apex, delete the shotgun loop and plug in the third person run. And for the pre-land again, delete the shotgun loop and plug in your third person run animation just like this. Go back all the way over here. Notice we have another state over here, the jump land, where we are playing the additive animation. We really don't have any other additive animations which might work, so we're going to just leave this like this. It's blending most of the animation with the current pose, so you won't really notice it, but it won't look exactly like it should. But we don't have anything better, so it just has to do. Let's go back to our animation graph, and I think we are done over here. We simply need to copy the state machine, paste it right above here, and plug this one into the base pose. So this setup is done right now. Let me double check real quickly. We need to change a little default value over here. Go to the weapon animation set and set the default value to the unarmed, like this. Now we can compile and save this and go to the character blueprint. So character base character blueprint. First we're going to change the default value in here as well. Look for the player variable the animation set, so not the current weapon, not the CW AnimSet, but the one for the player, so the normal AnimSet, and set the default value to unarmed. And what we also need to do in here is go to our primary attack event. So let's look for that primary attack event. And at the start of this event, we already added a branch to check if we are firing a special weapon. We are not actually using this, but we could connect something up here to fire a projectile or make a laser weapon or do something special. And we're going to add another branch in front of this to check if we are using a melee weapon. So let's create a little bit of room over here. Disconnect this branch. I'm just going to copy all of this and paste it over here. Connect up the pins again. And this time I'm going to check for a melee weapon. So we can now simply continue from the false pin. If we are using a melee weapon, I'm simply going to print a string on the screen because I don't have any melee animations ready to go, and I don't really want to bother with going through all the setup for melee with the hit detection and damage and stuff like that. It's a bit outside the scope of this video, so I'm just going to print a string to show you it's working, and you can work off from here to do your melee stuff. To play an melee animation, you could do something similar like we did with the fire animation, so you should be able to figure that out. Let's set this to 5 seconds and print melee on the screen, so we know this branch is working. And the last thing we need to do before we can test this is go to our child blueprint and give our new unarmed weapon. So I'm just going to replace the primary and give our unarmed weapon. And make sure you give at least one bullet, although we really don't have any bullets, but otherwise we won't be able to switch to this weapon. We are going to address that in a later video. At this point, if we don't have any ammo in a weapon, we can't switch to it, so make sure you set this to 1. Now compile and let's check this out. And as you can see right now, we have an unarmed pose. It doesn't look great with the gun inside of his leg, and I don't have left and right animations or backwards, so he's floating a bit, but the setup still works. I can sprint, I can walk, I can run, I can jump. So that should be good. Like I mentioned, if you have the proper animations for your character, you won't be having all these hiccups and weird stuff, and it will look a little bit better. But the basic setup is the same. And as you can see, we can still switch between our animations. So I can use my rifle animation, my unarmed, my pistol, and switch between all of them. So at least that's working. Okay, that should do it for the animation set. So let's close this down and let's save this. Next thing, let's look at the turn in place animations. First, I'm going to go to my animation folder for Murdoch. So characters, heroes, Murdoch, animations. They already have a few turn in place animations, but I think the travel mode ones look a little bit better. They seem to be a little bit faster. And I want a really small animation, so I'm just going to use these ones. We already need to add a notify, so I'm going to modify them either way, so why not create new ones. So let's duplicate the turn left 90 travel mode. I'm just going to call this turn left 90. And do the same for the turn right 90 travel mode. Duplicate this and call this turn right 90. And open them up. So first turn right. As you can see, there's a lot of unused frames in here. I'm going to delete them, so everything after frame 30 I'm going to remove frame 31 to 49, I'm sorry. And the next thing I'm going to do is right click on this little bar over here and add a notify. Create a new notify and call this turn anim done. And drag this all the way to the right so it's at the last frame of this animation. Now we can save and close this and do the same for the turn left animation. Again, I'm going to remove all the frames after frame 30. So put the slider at the correct position, right click and remove the frames. And I'm going to add the notify, add notify, and this time I'm able to select it from the list over here. I don't have to create it again. So the turn anim done notify, and make sure it's at the last frame, so drag it all the way to the right. Let's save and close this down as well. And we have our animations good to go. Next thing we are going to do, oh wait, I forgot to do something. Open the turn left animation and I'm going to set the rate scale to 1.5 so it speeds up a little bit. It's not necessary, but I don't just think it looks a little bit better, so for the turn right animation I'm going to do the same and set it to 1.5 as well, like so. And now we're going to go to the animation blueprint again, so open your AnimBP and we're going to go and add a few variables in here. So click the new variable. Is turning left is going to be the first one, and that's a boolean, that's fine. Create a new one, and that's is turning right. Again, that's a boolean, so that's fine as well. Create another variable and call this alt rotation. This variable is going to be a rotator, so for the type select rotator from the drop down list. And the last variable we are going to create is yaw difference. And this is going to be a float. And now we are going to go to the event graph and make stuff happen with these variables. So look for an empty spot. First thing I'm going to drag in is a setter for the yaw difference and connect it up to the previous setter, like so. In an empty spot, right click and look for a delta rotator and select that node. For the A input, we simply drag in our alt rotation and plug it in like this. And for the B pin, we want to get our actor rotation. If we go to our set direction step, we already got a node for it, so we can simply drag off this and plug it into the B pin. From this rotator, we want to drag off and break the rotator. And now we can simply plug in the yaw, the Z variable, into our yaw difference. After this, we want to set our alt rotation to our current actor rotation. So drag in a setter for the alt rotation and connect it to the actor rotation as well. And now we need to create two branches, so hold B and click twice. And for the first branch, I want to check if my yaw difference is greater than 0.75, so greater than float, and type in 0.75 and connect it up to the condition like this. If this is true, we are turning left, so we're going to drag in the is turning left variable and set this to true. From the false pin, drag off, and we want to check if our yaw difference is smaller than minus 0.75, so drag off this, smaller than float, and enter minus 0.75 and plug this into the condition as well. If this one is true, we are turning right, so set our is turning right to true, and we are done over here. So let's put a comment around this. Set is turning left and is turning right. Now we need to create an event for our notifies. So look for an empty spot again, right click and add anim notify event, expand this and look for the turn anim done notify we created. Select that one. If we receive this notify, we want to set our turn left and turn right variables back to false. So let's drag both of them in, connect them up and make sure they are set back to false, like this. And the last thing we need to do is in our animation graph, so go to the anim graph and go all the way back to the anim graph itself, open the base locomotion state machine and the idle state. And over here we want to disconnect this from the final pose and let's create a little bit of room over here. Drag off this and look for the blend by bool node, blend poses by bool. And copy this again. Now make sure this node, the weapon anims enum node, is plugged into the false pose, like this. Connect up this one to the false pose as well, and connect this one to the final pose. For the booleans, just drag in the is turning left and is turning right variables. And now we are going to copy this setup, so select everything here, copy and paste it twice over here. And we need a blend node again. We need the blend by bone node, so go to the animation graph and look for the layered blend per bone. Copy this and go back to your base locomotion idle state and paste the node twice again. Now plug in the blend by enum into the blend pose. Plug this into the true pose. Oh, in this true pose. So this is our is turning left. So over here we're going to use the left 90 animation, turn left 90 and plug it into the base pose. And for the right we are going to do the same thing. So plug in the enum blend into the blend pose, look for the right 90 animation and plug that into the base pose. And make sure you connect this up to the true pin of the is turning right blend by bool. Make sure all pins are connected and this should work. So let's compile this and check this out in game. As you can see, if we turn, we now have a little turn in place animation, so that looks a little bit better. Again, this is the unarmed AnimSet, and these animations really don't match up, so this looks a little bit weird. If I go to my spread shot, it already looks a lot better. There's a lot less hiccups and stuff like that. So that's mainly because these animations don't match up, and the unarmed AnimSet will just look a little bit weird sometimes. But the basics are working, and we have a little turn animation, so it's not perfect, but it's something. Now let me double check of if this is working multiplayer. 2 players should do, thank you. And resize the screens a little bit. So I'm the client this time, and if I'm turning, you can see the turning animations for both, and you can also see my unarmed pose, my pistol pose, and my rifle pose, and you can see everything firing and stuff like that, so that's working. And for the server, it's the same. My turn in place animations are showing for both. My unarmed pose is showing, I can switch, and my poses also update, so everything is working. Okay, that should do it for this video. It's not the most sophisticated stuff, but it's a little bit basics, so to get you going, I guess. So hope it was helpful. Thanks for watching, guys. In the next video, we are going to change our weapon stuff so we can have pickups for weapons, pickups for ammo. We can replace weapons in our inventory and things like that. So that's going to be fun as well. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.